Yeah, what is going on, everyone? Weird intro today. I have a snake. He's escaped his cage. Here he is, the young boy. Say hello to Marty. He's being quite lively today, to be fair. He does what he wants, and he's just all over me. What a good lad. I think I'm going to probably put him back in his vivarium in a second, because he's just got a mind of his own. I mean, he just does what he wants. But yeah, luckily, my snake's not escaped. But today's first story has an escaped snake. Let's go. So then, today's first story. Today I effed up by leaving my snake's cage open. I own an Asian vine snake named Tim, who I purchased in March. He has been a fun pandemic project and was also my dream snake, so he's very dear to me. He's also a source of inspiration in my art and writing. I absolutely adore him more than any other snake I've had. For visual, he might be what comes to mind with the phrase judgmental shoelace, simultaneously hilarious and beautiful, full of personality. You know what, actually guys, here's a picture on screen right now of an Asian vine snake. As you can see, what a beautiful creature. I mean, I'm a big fan of Marty, but this snake, wow, it looks totally different, to be honest. Yeah, beautiful. I love the color. Let's carry on. Now, Tim lives in a bioactive enclosure, which means it's very green in there. He blends in well, resembling a green vine as his common name would imply. He is also very small, thinner than a pencil, and around 2 feet long. I've been having trouble with his plants dying because he requires UVB, so I was doing some renovations. I stopped to find his sprayer and couldn't find it. I'd noticed my mum had moved things around, and so naturally I turned around and marched right down the hall to see if my mum had seen my sprayer. She had not, so I went back and looked for it some more and eventually found it on the floor. I pick it up and go to spray the cage and notice the door is open. Well, frick. I take a peek inside and see that Tim is curled up in his rainbow hidey hole suction cup to the glass, as he often is. Cool. I spray him, shut the cage, and go back to playing virtual pet sites for a few hours. Bedtime rolls around. I feed my Samboa, feed my dogs, pick up a bit, drink a nutrient shake, go back to the office to give Tim his evening misting. I think that I should double check that he's in there since I had left the cage open and I wasn't sure that I hadn't left the doors unlatched, which I've done before, and he was fully capable of pushing them open. It's the type with doors that swing out, because if you lift the lid of an arboreal snake's enclosure, he will try to go up immediately, and they are extremely fast. So, I look, and I don't see him anywhere. He's not in his plants, he's not in his hide, he's not on his branch. Cue panic. I call my partner in, they look too. They put a finger in the hide in case he's wedged in there, they put a pen in the hide to shoo him out. They neither feel nor startled him, which is bizarre because he's extremely skittish. We start tearing the room apart and I'm trying not to freak out. My partner is upset. I check all the high places, no Tim. Check all my houseplants, no Tim. Check the other rooms, no Tim. This is a major problem because Tim is extremely thin, extremely fast, and a little bit venomous. Not a problem unless you have an allergy, but none of us have been bitten to find out. My bigger worry is about my roommate and my mum though. I do not want them finding a snake in their beds. Eventually, we give up and finish getting ready for bed. I leave the door open in case he comes back, then go in the bathroom and cry a bit. I tell my roommate to keep an eye out. When I'm done crying, I figure I'll have one last look. I peek inside again and don't see him. Then I think, you know, what if he's way back in that hide? I take it off the glass and look inside. There's Tim. We did all that searching and freaking out, and he was where I thought he was the whole time, just curled up more than usual. And I'd almost left the door open the whole night for him to actually escape, thinking he'd escaped. He tripped me like the idiot he is. Oh, and there you go. I think that actually could be one of the first snake stories or snake-based stories I've ever actually covered on my channel. Could be wrong. If you're a diehard and you've watched all my videos, let me know in the comments that I'm wrong. But anyway, yeah, let me tell you a little story about my own snake, Marty, and how he nearly, well, went down the back of a sink a number of years ago now. Here we go. Alright, so this was about probably 10 years ago maybe, when he was still pretty young, and he was quite an energetic young corn snake, and we let him, you know, roam around the house a bit, obviously keeping a very close eye on him so he didn't get stuck anywhere or went behind anywhere dark like snakes normally like to do, where we therefore couldn't find him. But then we let him into the bathroom, and we thought, you know, being the bathroom, it can't have any like nooks and crannies for him to go down. What's a bathroom got in it, right? A bath, which he's not going to be able to get into that easily, and then a toilet and a sink, and that's it, right? He's not going to be able to get up into the toilet or up into the sink, we thought. However, the back of the sink, for whatever reason in our house, or at least it was in the past, is open. Now, I don't know why it's open, but it was open. And obviously, I took my eye off him for like 1 second, me and my mum did and my sister, and then down he goes, down the back of the sink. Now, fortunately, we were like, oh, where's he gone? And we see half of a snake coming out the back of the sink. But I mean, it was actually not the best story because we then had to, me and my mum, pull him very hard. He was trying with all his might to get down the back of the sink because obviously, you know, it's a really nice dark place. And he probably didn't like, you know, all the lights and stuff. Either wanted to be back in his vivarium or down in a really dark place, how snakes usually like it. And we had to, you know, pull him extremely hard, way harder than I would have ever liked to pull a snake. Probably, honestly, did some damage to him, I can imagine. But he seems fine now. 10 years later, he's still alive, which is amazing. And we probably saved his life as well, because had he gone down there, he would not have any food. He would have died, realistically. And we kept him. We just about managed to keep him and pull him up. And he's alright now, as you just saw. Yeah, that's my story. Very badly worded, but I hope you enjoyed it. Anyway, we love Marty, he's a good lad, and yeah, very easy are snakes to keep, and they provide a lot of good banter. So there's that. By the way, if you want to see some like Marty outtakes, I had him on my neck for a good, 5 minutes. He was like crawling over my head as I was trying to do the intro and stuff, and I was trying to get a thumbnail as well. So we might chuck those at the end of the video as well. If you stick around to the end, you can see some lovely outtakes of my corn snake Marty doing whatever he wants, realistically abusing my head. Do you want to see that? I think you do. Stick around to the end of the vid. With that being said, let's get into our next story. I can't even speak anymore. Here we go. Now moving on to our second story. Today I effed up tipping 140% to a pizza delivery driver. My buddy and I ordered a pizza while half drunk. Unaware that I already paid with my credit card, I walked to my door with $30 and gave him a 20% tip on top of that which had been paid online. The driver was about in his mid-30s, barely spoke English, and he was driving a beat-up car. He said, "Thank you," very enthusiastically, which made me realise in about 2 seconds that I just gave him double the money for the order, which he would obviously receive as a tip. I was about to admit my mistake and ask for the money back before I saw his reaction while he was walking to his car. He had a smile from ear to ear like he found the cure for COVID or struck gold or something. He even did this little mini jump before he hopped into his car. Now, I'm not exactly Bill Gates. I still have debts to pay, but I'm glad I effed up to help someone who needed the money more than I did. Anyways, I felt pretty dumb after, but the joy I saw in that man made my week. Not a very interesting story, but it was pretty cool for me, as my dad moved to Canada from across the world with only a bike and a few $100. Oh, what do you mean? That was a very interesting story, OP. I really enjoyed that one. What's nice about this story is, via your dad and his journey without any real money, just a bike, you probably now understand the importance of just a little bit of money, what just a little bit of money can do for someone's life. As you saw in this situation, yeah, you effed up, but you've made that guy's probably month, right? Because that is a lot of money just as a tip. You would never ever get that working usually with normal people and the fact that people don't tend to tip for delivery in general. But yeah, you effed up, but it was in a good way, so well done. Now for our third story. Today I effed up when I didn't beat my wife after she won a football video game against me. It's a random Tuesday evening, and the wife and I have dinner plans to meet up with friends with some time to kill before we have to leave. So we decide to play a game of Madden on PlayStation in our little 1BR apartment with neighbours on both sides and below us. I'm winning towards the end of the game, but she gets a touchdown to put the game within 2. She does an onside kick and recovers it with literally 2 seconds left at the end of the play. I'm starting to sweat that she somehow pulls off some miraculous Hail Mary and wins. She ends up selecting a field goal and I'm feeling relieved. The wind is against her and it's a 60+ yard field goal. For non-football people, the record is 64 yards. But she nails it perfectly and wins. I jump off the couch and I'm yelling, "Are you kidding me? Are you joking? This is BS. I'm gonna freaking kill you." She's cracking up laughing and I start tickling her. She runs into the bedroom and I yell something like, "You can't hide from me. I'm gonna get ya." I tickle her for maybe 1 to 2 more minutes on our bed and she's cracking up, crying, yelling stop, but totally okay and within our normal boundaries of fun. We stop and she tells me she needs to get ready and starts heading heading into the bathroom to put on makeup. By this point, maybe 5 to 10 minutes later, I've changed clothes and I'm watching some TV when I hear a very loud, confident series of knocks on the door. I open up and surprise, it's 2 police officers, 1 man and 1 woman. The male cop says, "Good evening. Do you know why we are here?" I think so, and you're never gonna believe me, but I can explain. The female cop says, "Is there a woman in this apartment? May I speak with her?" Yes, I am sure my wife will be willing to speak with you. She's in the restroom around the corner getting ready for dinner. What do you think we are here for? I think one of my neighbors probably heard me yell at my wife and chase her into the next room as she screamed. But in reality, it was a tickle fight after she beat me in a video game. A tickle fight? And what did you yell at her? Well, look, I said I was gonna kill her, but it was really a joke. I promise, really. All I did after that was tickle her for a minute or 2. Where were you planning on going for dinner? I felt trashy saying this as someone who is suspected of spousal abuse. Hooters. We are meeting friends at Hooters for wing nights. May I take a look around? Yes. He searches around, finds a broken vase in our recycle bin and asks about it. About 3 to 4 minutes later, in what felt like an eternity, the female cop comes out and says, "What did you hear?" The male cop replies, "Tickle fights." The female cop, tickle fights. She belts out 1 or 2 chuckles. At this point, I had the weight of the world finally off my shoulders. Alright, well, thanks for letting us come in and investigate. You know, it's just our jobs, and we have to take this kind of thing very seriously. Yes, I totally understand, and I'm not mad. I just have to repair a relationship with our neighbors who think I now beat my wife. After they left, my wife told me the cop she spoke with was begging her to admit that I was hurting her and she was covering her bruises with makeup. More like, "Hey, you're safe now. We got him. You can tell me the truth." Look, I get why they do this, but thank God my wife was insistent and confident in her speech that I was not in fact beating her. We hadn't met our downstairs neighbour yet at that point, just a friendly wave out the door on the way to work each morning, but met them a few weeks later at a pool party the complex had. After some small talk, I just broke the ice and said, "Hey, look, just so you know, I think you guys must have called the police on me a few weeks back. I appreciate you called the police. I can understand how from your apartment you just heard me yell, 'I'm gonna kill you,' followed by 2 people running, followed by screaming. Just so you know, it was a tickle fight and nothing else. And I know, that sounds ridiculous, but it's true. Ultimately though, you guys did the right thing." I got the feeling they were a little skittish, but overall grateful that I told them that. We remained on friendly terms, but lost touch after we moved out of that complex. Wow, that is actually a pretty mad story. The maddest thing about that story for me is what the policewoman said to your wife, you know, when she was like, "Look, you know, you're safe now. Just tell us what really happened. We know you're hiding, you know, the bruises. You don't have to hide anymore. You can tell us the truth." I guess that is the sad truth about domestic abuse and the fact that it does happen, and that a lot of the time when it is, you know, reported on, a woman probably, you know, out of fear of being beaten more by her husband afterwards, just says, you know, "Nothing's wrong here, this is fine, it was just a play fight," or whatever. It's kind of crazy that the police, you know, have to look for that, but yeah, it's a sad one. Tickle fights, on the other hand, a lot of fun, and yes, they can get very competitive and very loud, so neighbours, just bear that in mind, I guess. But of course, as OP said himself, the neighbours absolutely did the right thing calling the police there, because you do not want to have the guilt of not reporting domestic abuse on your mind, that is for sure. Now moving on to our final story of today's video. Today I effed up by forgetting to stop the recording of my lesson and then stuffing my face with my lunch for my students to see. For some backstory, I teach high school math. Some of you may remember me as the teacher who won an apple pie for breakdancing in the hall after class a few years ago. Okay, my school is in person with the option to go virtual. I have at least 1 virtual student in every class, so I have been live streaming my classes with a Google Meet. I record the lesson if there's an absence. I'm easygoing, like to goof around, and I don't embarrass easily. So, yesterday, I'm recording my statistics class due to absences, and the lesson comes to a close with a few minutes left before lunch. Usually, when this happens, I drag my laptop back to my desk to get ready to eat my lunch and browse Reddit, and that's exactly what I did. Without ending the recording or closing the meeting out, I proceeded to eat my lunch, and then sometime near the end, I noticed the Meet tab still opened and quickly closed it, not thinking anything of it. See, and this is important, Google Meet doesn't distinguish the tab between recording and not recording, and I will frequently forget to close out the tab immediately. But it's no big deal because I'm usually not recording. I just close the tab while still on the Reddit tab. I was none the wiser until the end of the day as I went to post the lesson recordings. To my surprise, instead of the normal front screen for a lesson, usually a picture of me in a teacher-like pose with some glorious looking math stuff behind me, I see a close-up of my face going to town on my sandwich, 2 hands just cramming it in there. My heart sank. I cue the video up, scroll through, and then I see what I can only describe as a startlingly detailed odyssey of me voraciously consuming my lunch like it will be my last. Sandwich, crackers, Greek yogurt, apple, all thoroughly chewed up and swallowed in front of my webcam for my students to see. Well, that's no big deal, just edit the video or don't post it, I hear you say. 1, I tried to edit the video, but the file was too large to edit in the only software I have to do so. 2, I had to post it because I had students counting on the lesson recording to stay up to date after missing class. I didn't have the time or energy to produce a quick recording as well as potentially missing something important from the lesson. And 3, I was in panic mode. You're not always thinking clearly in panic mode. So I decided to just post it as is. So then my next decision was whether to put a disclaimer on the video or not. If I don't put a disclaimer, I potentially get out of it with no one even seeing me going all trash compactor with my lunch. Typically, if I forget, it's just for a few minutes and I expect students would close the video as soon as stuff winds down. But if just one person gets curious and checks out why the video still has basically 30 minutes left when the lesson has ended, then I end up looking like even more of an idiot, posting an embarrassing video without even realizing it. If I do put a disclaimer though, then everyone will know about it, but at least I can save face a little by at least realizing that I did something stupid and owning up to it. I decided to say a little prayer and post with a disclaimer. There's still a chance no one will even look at the recording. I get through the evening, no late night heckling emails from students. I get to school the next day, no hecklers. I get partially through statistics, no hecklers. All of a sudden though, a girl raises her hand and asks me, "Hey sir, do you have a sandwich for lunch today?" I froze with what I can only imagine is the most horror-stricken face possible. The only thought that raced through my mind in that moment was, they know. What followed was absolute pandemonium, as the few people who knew about it were all showing the people who didn't. They were all laughing so hard, I thought I might have to go get the AED. As the bell rang for lunch, they all spilled into the hallway with their dang Chromebooks open, showing everyone in sight. I just sat in my room, alone, eating my sandwich. Oh, what an elite story. That's so good, man. These stories, honestly, on r/TIFU, they're really good. You gotta admit, guys. I mean, sometimes on Entitled Parents, the quality of stories, and I'll say this myself, right? The quality of stories isn't always the best. Sometimes they're made up, you know. It's a bit obvious. But these stories, they're class. I mean, this one is an amazing story. This guy, I mean, just send me the video next time. I'll put it in my editing software. Or send Steve, my editor. Put it in editing software. We'll cut it out easily. But no, unfortunately, the file size was too big. I do like that, you know, he took it on the chin and was just like, yeah, this has happened. I can't really change it. Screw it. I'll just put a disclaimer in. And by the way, that was the right thing to do 100%, because I know if I was a student in that class and I saw half an hour at the end of the video after the lesson is done, I would definitely, you know, firstly, I definitely recognize it, as I'm sure would the majority of you. And then secondly, I definitely watch it. Of course, I'd be so curious. So yeah, you did the right thing. But yeah, maybe just make sure that you're not being recorded next time you eat your sandwich. That's all I can say for advice. Anyway guys, that is going to do it for the stories in today's video, but don't click off just yet. As I said earlier, here are some outtakes, some bloopers of me and Marty just having a whale of a time. If you did enjoy this video though, make sure to subscribe, watch some more. But firstly, enjoy Marty just doing Marty things. There he is. Look at that lovely boy. He's absolutely chilling. Marty, you need to be sensible now, because you're now going behind my back. Okay, now he's on my head. Oh, what a lovely bandana this is. He just does what he wants, this lad. Always has done, always will. He's quite old now, actually. How old is he? 15-ish? And yeah, I mean, he just does what he wants. Let me put him on my neck so he's a bit more comfortable. There we go. There we go. Get your body around there, lad. And there we go. This is him. The young Mart. Well, he's quite old now, really, but I do apologise for this, by the way. But Everyone wanted to see you. So we must give the people what they want. Anyway, Marty,